Okay, welcome everybody to the My Aussie Dream Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Zoe Howse, who is the founder of a very awesome company called Inspired Action, where she coaches people on how to be more healthy and more mindful with their lives. Hi, good afternoon, Zoe.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure.
Excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. It's a very rainy day today, so thank you for keeping us company. I guess maybe firstly, I'll just ask you if you can maybe introduce yourself a little bit and your background and how you even got to be in the current business that you're in.
Sure. So I previously worked as a nurse for over 12 years. And in 2012, I decided to have a career change. I decided that I wanted to work from a more holistic place in health. I've always been passionate about helping others. However, it just didn't quite feel right as a nurse. So I began studying different forms of holistic healing about 8 years ago. So I studied my yoga diploma, personal training, Pilates, meditation, energetic healing, and also some coaching modalities as well. So over the past sort of 8 years, I've been learning these different techniques, and business has evolved over the years as well, and sort of brought me to where I am now with Inspired Action, where I really work on all levels of mind, body, and spirit with people, helping them to become empowered on all levels.
Okay, fantastic. So sounds like you've been through quite a journey, and yeah, that's why you sound like the perfect person to ask, with the current coronavirus craziness that's going on all around the world, not just in Australia. I guess, what are some really practical ways people can stay sane and grounded during this time, which is the topic of our episode today. But yeah, so what's been your personal experience of this crisis?
Yes, well, previously I was running my business out of a health club, and they were one of the first businesses to get shut down. So that happened. And so then I was in the process of bringing everything online, which was new for me. I'd operated my business partly online, but never fully online. So transitioning all my clients across, and then obviously running classes online as well, teaching yoga online. There's been a big transition in that respect. But on top of that, my son is in prep as well this year. So I've also been homeschooling him from home. So learning to juggle business and homeschool has been a challenge. Just had to get really good at my scheduling and, prioritizing and everything like that. So yeah, I've just been going with the flow and trying to manage the best I can under the circumstances.
Well done. Sounds like you're currently being super mom right now. So yeah, that's very inspirational, as per the name of your company, actually. Okay. So it sounds like you had to adapt quite quickly as well. I guess maybe just in the past, have you faced maybe not a similar, but to you also like a crisis in your life where you had faced a lot of challenges? And then I guess the question is, what did you do during those difficult times to actually overcome those challenges?
Yeah, sure. Yes. So around 5 years ago, I actually went through quite a difficult divorce where I lost my home at the time and my business at the time. So I guess a lot of people might be in a similar situation at the moment where they're under great financial pressure, great amounts of stress, so much uncertainty. So that's the state that I was in around 5 years ago. It was a very challenging time in my life where I had to learn how to rebuild everything. So I basically had a blank slate to work with. I had a 1-year-old child, and had to rebuild my life from there. Luckily, I had been doing the work, studying these holistic forms of healing already for quite a few years. So I did have the tools. I knew what I needed to do to get myself out of that. So one of the biggest lessons for me was, in that moment, was that I really needed to work on my inner world in order to get my outer world right. So a lot of, especially in the early days, it was about doing that inner work, and that's when I went to study my consciousness coaching course, to really work on myself on a deep level and start to, clear any wounds or any self-sabotaging behaviors. I learned a lot about myself on a deeper level there. And then obviously on top of that, I was doing things like meditation, yoga, just really grounding practices to keep me in a good state rather than focusing on the negative. And also, like, one of the biggest lessons for me during that period, I've always been a highly independent person. I had to learn that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Because, that was something I wasn't very good at. So, learning to ask for support from family and be okay with that, that was a big lesson for me as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So I guess because, it sounds like you weathered the storm and you grew stronger from all of those experiences. Do you still practice any of those mindfulness practices? Maybe I'll start with that question.
Yes. And that's the thing, I think it becomes part of your life once you realize the power behind these mindfulness practices. I definitely had to use them when I was going through those difficult times in order to get through those difficult times. They then become part of your daily routine, once you've realized how powerful they are, because they really do get you through. They become part of your daily practice. And then here we are again in another crisis situation. So of course, I'm prioritizing, I'm using them even more now than what I would, in my day-to-day life. So yes, it's definitely something that I use regularly.
Okay, then that sounds good. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a very strong self-care practice, so taking care of yourself. At the same time, it sounds like you have a very strong support network. So, people outside of yourself that can, help you along the way too. So.
Exactly. And that's super important for everyone right now, is to make sure that you do have that support externally as well as internally. So, make sure that you are speaking to people if you are feeling stressed right now and you have, feeling overwhelmed or feelings of worry. Make sure that you're opening up to people and that you are talking to someone about it. It's no good when we push these feelings down. Yeah, I
agree. And once again, maybe because I don't know if you've observed, as a cultural thing, gender thing, I don't know, but I've definitely noticed for generally for females or more feminine people, that it's easy to speak out and ask for help. But because I have quite a lot of tradies and male workers who subscribe to the macho stereotype, do you have any tips on how they can connect more without going, let's talk about our feelings, which I don't think they really want to do that proactively, unless they do, which is great.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of other techniques other than just talking about your feelings that can help through stressful times. If that's not something that people feel comfortable with, other things that you can do is simple things like just paying attention to your thoughts is a really powerful practice. Bringing awareness in. We don't even realize that a lot of the time our mind is running on autopilot, and a lot of the time it's negatively geared, like we're just thinking these negative thoughts. So once you can learn to bring awareness in, and perhaps you can start to identify these patterns, you can actually learn how to identify that, but then replace it with something more empowering. So bringing awareness into your thoughts, but then perhaps catching yourself out in the moment and learning how to shift your perception. So if we're focusing on what's going wrong, it's likely that we're going to create more of what's going wrong. So, a good way to look at our current situation is perhaps flipping it around, flipping your perception and saying, right now I'm becoming stronger because of this experience. Or right now I'm becoming wiser because of this experience. Perhaps you're learning humility because of this experience. You can catch yourself out, become mindful of your thoughts and become aware of your thoughts. That's a really, really great tool to help you get through difficult times.
No, that's a great technique. Thanks, Zoe. And yes, actually, something relevant. So today is the 29th of April. So yesterday, the government actually published a study where they show that people are 3 times more, feeling more depressed and more stressed than even before this whole thing happened. So it sounds like the mental health of everybody is definitely taking a toll. So yeah, so I guess, what are some simple practices in addition to, catching your thoughts that people who may not have been so exposed to mindfulness practices can start to, try? Since we're all at home, there's not much to do, might as well give it a go anyways.
Definitely. A really simple one that you can do daily, doesn't take long, is simply practicing gratitude. It is a super powerful tool. When we practice gratitude, we're shifting our perception. So we're breaking that pattern of that negative thinking. So you're bringing your thoughts to something positive, something you're grateful for. When you do that, you're shifting your vibration. And because our thoughts create our realities, if we start focusing on what's going well in our life, we're then inviting more of that to come in. So, shifting your thoughts to gratitude is a super powerful tool that should be practiced daily.
I totally agree. And yeah, sometimes I feel like, when you compare, how lucky we are, and we do live in a lucky country, and you think about, I think there was a news article about how, people in Africa are struggling even more, once again, even more than before because of the current crisis. They're having issues getting food aid in. And here we are living in Australia. Plenty of food, no need to, hoard anything really. And so with a roof over our heads, we're quite lucky if we count our blessings. So yeah, thanks for that, Zoe.
Yeah, definitely. But there's plenty of other things that we can do as well. I think the main thing is that we need to realize that we can't control what's happening externally at the moment. It's not within our control. So we can't allow external events to govern our internal condition. So what can we do? We can work on our own internal condition. We can work on practices going to help to shift what's happening internally for us in our inner world. So gratitude is going to do that. Also, even just simply moving your body is a powerful tool to help with that. So whatever feels good for you. So whether that's going for a walk, whether that's doing some yoga, doing some Pilates, there's plenty of things that you can do online at the moment. A lot of us are stuck at home, but there's plenty of online options for exercise if you can't get outdoors because it's raining like today. So that's a super powerful, super simple, super powerful tool it's going to shift your vibration, and it's just going to, help shake off any excess negative energies that you might be storing in your body as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes. And everybody, I'll be linking Zoe's Facebook and website for anybody that does want to take up the Zoom exercise offer. I highly recommend it just to keep yourself moving, especially if you can't get outside. But yeah, and I would agree. I think yesterday they opened up Bondi Beach in Sydney, so and people were just not there in crowds, but people were just blessed and grateful that they could even touch like the water, which is something nice, I think.
Yeah. Another simple practice that kind of goes hand in hand with yoga for anyone that's done yoga before is conscious breathing. So conscious breathing is simply bringing your awareness to your breath. It's a very, very simple practice. There's many different techniques out there available, but if you just Google conscious breathing, it'll give you a simple guideline. But the bottom line is you're just bringing the awareness to your breath. What that does is it just stops that thought process for a moment, and it helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest part of the nervous system. And it just helps to calm you down in the moment. It's a really simple tool. You can do it for, 1 minute of conscious breathing is going to make a difference in your state. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that you can just do it for a minute. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's going to shift your state, just a small amount of taking the time out just to bring your focus to your breath. It's a very powerful tool.
So is it sort of counting the breath in and out, or like how do you do it specifically?
Yeah. So basically, when I do it, I would always close my eyes just to draw the focus inwards. Start to bring the focus to the breath. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. And exhale for 4 counts. So that's just an example. There's plenty of other techniques out there. So if it's something you're interested in, it's something you can research, but it's a very simple tool that can be used, anytime throughout the day. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Zoe. I was doing the breath with you and I already feel calmer after doing 2 breaths.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yes, I think it just shows you how very simple, small things that you can do really anytime, anywhere can really help with your emotions and your feelings. And I feel like we both really understand, the initial fear and panic that everybody experiences because we're all human. But I think right now we can make a conscious choice to adopt these practices, which will, make you a much more resourceful person. Okay, and then maybe just to finish it off, well, just ask for, if there's anyone in your life, whether someone you know closely or a more like a renowned figure that's been your role model, or someone that, when you think about them, really inspires you to get up in the morning and be like, oh my goodness, if he can do it, I need to get up and do my best today.
I'm going to say JoeDispenza.
Oh.
That's where Mary and I met at a JoeDispenza event, but he's probably one of my biggest role models, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. What is it about him that really inspires you? And by the way, just to maybe give a 5-second background, Dr. JoeDispenza is, I would say, a neuroscientist that teaches meditation as well. So.
Yes. I just think I love the fact that he combines science with spirituality, and he teaches these methods that are scientifically backed. So that was one of the other methods that I would have discussed with you, is meditation. But he talks about, the science behind it and how it affects the brain in a positive way. And I just love his approach. He's sort of spreading the word at the moment with this virus that everyone should be focusing on love. And that's a state of your perception again, rather than focusing on the fear. Shift your perception to a state of love and focus on that. Bring your awareness to your heart. I just love that approach. The fact that he's trying to shift the consciousness, and just the message that he's spreading. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I can see Zoe, you being like the female version with all the great work you're doing. So thank you for what you do.
No, it's a pleasure.
And then one last thing I wanted to just clarify with focusing on love and not fear. It's just something I noticed within myself. And I don't know if what you said about catching your thoughts is I definitely notice sometimes if I'm in what I would say unresourceful state. So feeling fear, stress, because as you said, you keep focusing on it, it actually gets worse. And it's like a infinite, sort of feeling of fear and stress. But then the moment you shift yourself to feeling even slightly more hopeful, as you said, grateful, or, just feeling joy for the fact that you're alive, then you actually, it's like planting a little seed in your head, and then you continue to pour more like water and sunshine on it, the more that grows. And then you completely feel like, what? I was fearful just a second ago. What? So is there a quick way that we can firstly identify that we're in the negative state and then shift ourselves into the more resourceful state?
Well, I think it was the first point I brought up around bringing awareness in, so if you can learn to become the observer of your thoughts rather than being so attached to your thoughts that they are you. We have the ability to step outside of that and not be our emotions, not be our thoughts. You can become the observer. And, that's related to presence as well. So what I mean by presence is being right here, right now, rather than fixating on the past or the future. You know, don't sit there worrying about what's going to happen in the future. The ego says, when this is over, then I will be at peace, you know, but the soul says, be at peace right now. And that's what we need to really focus on is the quality of our thoughts right now. Bring that awareness in.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And yeah, I mean, people always ask, what is being present? So I feel like all the practices that Zoe has mentioned really help. I feel like presence is a hard description to do in words. It's something you must experience for yourself. So I will highly encourage you. I know if you're just a, homeowner sitting at home worrying about all the bills and everything that feels like the sky is coming down, just give the breathing a quick go. Once again, it doesn't, just try 2 breaths like what I did, and then see if that makes a difference. And and then see what happens to the rest of your day. But so yes, any final words of wisdom, Zoe, that you wanted to share? Any encouragement for the future?
Yeah, I think now is a time for everyone to go inwards a little bit more than what we ever have. Perhaps it's a time also to review what's going right for you and what's going wrong for you. You know, we've all been given this opportunity to slow down. So perhaps we can actually use this as an opportunity to write a new chapter, write yourself a new story. I've been through that myself in the past, and it was powerful being able to have everything kind of stripped back and then go, okay, I've got a clean slate here. How do I want to move forwards? So how can I live a more intentional life? You don't want things happening to you. You want them to be responding to you. So if you can be more intentional about what you're creating, then you're going to become more empowered.
Fantastic. Thanks, Zoe, for your wisdom and all your beautiful shares. And yes, really appreciate your time. Have a fantastic rest of your day as well. And hopefully our listeners and viewers have gotten lots of, practical tips from this session. So thanks, Zoe.
Pleasure, Mary. Thank you for having me on today.